Welcome to the Inner Blueprint Podcast. I'm Sean Foyer, the Universal Mindset Disruptor. With over 20 years of turning blueprints into thriving home improvement businesses, I've learned that the strongest foundations start in your mind. Whether you're building a business or your own success, we're here to reshape how you think and face daily life and always remind you to enjoy the ride. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Inner Blueprint, the podcast for the home improvement industry and anybody and everybody that wants to think better thoughts to get better results. I'm your host, Sean Foyer, along with the beautiful, amazing
Caitlin Foyer,
my beautiful co-host. And today we have an exciting guest for you on Inner Blueprint.
I love this guy.
Yeah, I do too. This gentleman, he is a successful business owner in the Allentown, Pennsylvania area. I actually met him when I was working for the Certified Contractors Network. He became a client and a member at that time. And it's been really cool. As you hear guests, a lot of the guests that we have on, they started working with me at some level on business process. And then they came into the fold with me in my new consulting business, and we started working on mindset. And with the journey with this guest, I've watched not only his business grow, but his life grow. We work with his beautiful wife. Caitlin actually works very closely with his daughter as a athlete and a cheerleader.
Yep.
Anything else you have to add before we welcome him on?
I love this family and I love this person. When I first met this person, I saw right through him. He was just a big cuddly teddy bear, and I saw him and I was like, I love him. I can't get enough of him.
Yes, very powerful human being. Let's welcome to the show, Mr. James Enriquez. James.
Sean and Caitlin, how are you?
So good, sir. How are you doing today, man?
Good, thank you. I just want to point out, you said wonderful and beautiful co-host. You forgot to say wife.
Oh, yes,
true.
my beautiful wife, too. Yes, thank you.
That's my favorite title.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur of all things, get it done, fixer. She just does it all.
It's true.
And James played a part.
Yes.
Well, James played a part because I was single when I met James, and I'd been dating Caitlin for a couple of years, and I'll never forget. We hopped on a phone call, and he got on me. When you going to put a ring on that? When are you going to put a ring on that, man?
Many, many times.
Yes. I still had some paradigms about marriage for a little bit.
It's true.
Well, it's funny. I was gonna say that you said you were single, but I think like most of the people you work with, you weren't single. You were kind of tied to everything we all have going on, and your mind's consumed with so much other stuff going on that you don't have time to take care of yourself, or at least that's what you think.
Yeah.
100%. I had too many other people to help, and my kids, and even at some level myself. How can I serve as a husband right now when I've got so many other things to take my energy? And James, even people that we work with that are married don't have time for the marriage. They put more effort into everybody else. Yeah, they don't think.
Mm-hmm. Or overthink.
Probably more of that. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about this. I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. And Steph and I were talking, and I was trying to remember exactly how it goes. But this is kind of a perfect thing. I remember back when you and I first were talking a lot more, not when we met, but you had like a big payment that you had to make, and you were so consumed with how you were going to do it. And Steph and I were talking the other day about something, and I'm like, the how doesn't matter. The how doesn't matter. We're just going to do it. It's funny how subconsciously we're doing things that we're learning and don't even think about, oh crap, I learned this here. I thought of this, like this is ingrained in my mind because of Sean. I think it starts with the business. You tend to work with a lot of business people, but how much of it goes into the everyday life, and how much of your everyday life constrains the business side of it, I think sometimes we tend not to think about.
Well, it's so true, because so many times in business coaching, they talk about the business owners getting in the way of the business, and it's stuff from the personal life, self-limiting beliefs, trying to figure out the how when we don't know how. I mean, with that big money challenge I had no idea how I could do it, but I knew I could.
And now you can do it every month if you had to.
And the more I put belief into what I really want and forget about the how, we just recorded an episode talking about the steps to mindset, and you already know them because you've been working with them for so long, and you apply them because you know them. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's been my favorite evolution of you, James. When I met you, you were like, all business. You and Mike were like, whatever it takes, we're going to get it done, da, da, da. And then to see you apply that to your marriage, to your family, and just the growth that has come within you is remarkable to witness. Honestly, it is. I mean, your family is great, and you have great kids. You have an amazing wife, and they look to you as like the head of the household, and they trust you on all levels because you've proven yourself over and over and over. And you don't let things like, how are we going to do this, get in the way. You just go, I have this idea, we're going to make it happen. And you make it happen. You make it happen no matter what.
Thank you. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with I'm sorry, what are the rules on this show?
You can say whatever you want.
Speak freely.
Speak freely,
James.
We're going to donate. We're going to donate to charity for every F-bomb you drop.
Jeez, I'm going to be broke by the end of this. Yeah, so I think a lot of it started with like the zero fucks mentality. Like the how doesn't matter. Getting it done is all that matters. Whether it's breaking a few rules on the way there, or more than a few, we're getting it done one way or the other. Which was always kind of my mentality, Mike's mentality, and it kind of progressed right into these calls. And I really think before Sean came a mindset coach, he really was a mindset coach before. He just didn't realize it, didn't have the title that goes with it, I guess. But it was always, he was preaching to other people what he should have been preaching to himself and what we should all be preaching to ourselves. And now he just turned it into a business because he was so good at it. But my mentality has always been get it done. It doesn't matter what needs to be done to get it done. And now it's kind of evolved a little bit more into the belief, because I used to sit there and say, like, I'll do anything to get it done. But in the back of my mind, I'm going, can I fucking do this? Like, can I really actually do this? Like, and getting into business, it was the small steps. Like, oh, we had a X amount a month and another X amount a month. And we were looking at it from such a small standpoint that I remember our first full year in business, we were like just shy of $1 million. I mean, it was like a couple $1,000s shy. And I'm like, I'm about to sell myself something just to hit that $1 million mark, just so I can say I did it. And
babe, we're getting a new roof.
yeah. Well, it's funny because I could have just canceled it January 1st anyway. It's because it's just trying to train your mind to be like, okay, I could do it, but that doesn't really solve the problem if it's not business coming in. And it really, there were a lot of things that went into that, and that's around the time we met Sean at CCN, and just starting to think about what in reality you can do if you really put effort into it has changed a lot.
And James, I don't want to get into too much of the weeds. What's the most revenue you've done in a year? $1 million your first year, just shy. What's your peak been so far?
Just shy of 20 million.
Yeah.
Which was last year. It was like 19,760. I actually just looked at it the other day. It was like 19,763 or something like that.
Well, and how many years in business is that for you?
This is, so in next year will be like the 14-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Just insane to
So we're
grow
on
that
year
much.
13.
And that goes to your belief, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, we did $1 million our first year, so next year we should shoot for like 1.5, right? Because that's smart. That's a smart goal to reach for. And you've just said, fuck 1.5. Like, we're going to grow more and more and more. And the numbers aren't going to make sense, but I believe that we can be this bigger company, that I'm worthy of more, that I deserve more, that I can deliver more. And it's so impressive to watch.
Well, and again, I think a lot of that has to do with the perfect word for it is the mindset. And I mean, I know during COVID, there were a lot of people that I can't do this, I can't do that. The government says no to this, the government says no to that. And I remember we live right outside of one of the first counties in Pennsylvania to like shut down. And it sounds like such a, I don't know, unpopular word. Like, oh my God, the world would never shut down. But those of us in 100 years, people will be going, what the hell was that? But I mean, hell, I say it now. But um, I remember it was like 2 days later, and we laid a lot of people off during that time. And we had a very skeleton crew. And we're out at this job, and we're like, well, the government ain't going to pay our bills. Like, the government don't do shit for us. So we better get out there and get work done. And we're on this roof, and we see a cop driving down the road. So we all quickly like duck down and kind of like lay on the roof and try to blend in. And maybe like a half hour later, it happens again. And this happened throughout the entire day. And at the end of the day, we're packing up, and we're kind of at that like, okay, we'll let them come by now. We're done. It doesn't matter. And he pulls up. He goes, "You guys gonna be back tomorrow?" I said, "No, we're all done." He's like, "Oh, I was having fun watching you guys lay on the roof." I'm like, "Wait, you bastard, you saw us all day." But it was kind of funny in hindsight, but it, during that peak, like we were out there just getting shit done. And then obviously anybody that's lived with through it knows that it was just a downward spiral. Next thing you know, it's like who becomes a necessity. And because we were electricians, but we're installing roofs and solar, so is it really like we're a necessity? But it was all just a game. But you had two options during that time: take it on the chin and live off of the whatever it was, $500-600 that the government was sending you, or go out there and get shit done. And we chose to go out and get shit done. And we prospered right through it. Had some of our best years. That's when it really started peaking through. And it's like, oh, this shit can work. And it's only gotten better every single year. We still have our hiccups. Things aren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Just this week, we're doing a trial at the office of having our call center work different hours. We're constantly trying to change things, make things better. But if you're not trying, you're dying, and that's the mentality that we've constantly lived off of. The moment we get complacent is the moment we're not going to be around, and I'm not ready for that point yet. Soon, but not yet.
Well, and you said if you're not trying, you're dying, but you take it one step further, and it's something that I teach is trying is lying. You either do it or you don't. And that's for you, you do it. You don't try things, you succeed, right? And even when we quote unquote fail, we're learning a better way to do things so we can succeed. And so you really embody that, trying is lying. You either do it or you don't. And okay, but what you do is you embody that next level mindset of I don't participate in government shutdowns. I don't participate in recessions. I don't participate in these things the world is trying to tell us that we have to do or how we have to be. And you just do it. You just do it, and you succeed over and over and over with these things. You fail forward. Like you don't let things hold you back. You don't let circumstance or excuses get in the way of your success. And I love that about you. And it's something that I think every entrepreneur, every business owner should take a look in the mirror and go, am I letting excuses hold me back? Am I letting these things kind of get to me? And it's so impressive because when you don't, you're proof of what happens. It's amazing. It's that belief. It's that mindset of I'm going to make it happen no matter what.
Yeah, it's a can do. I mean, even, and there's funny stories of it, James. You're at, I think it was a CCN event, and there wasn't enough alcohol or there wasn't a steak. And all of a sudden, James has 2 bottles on his table, went down to the bar, and you can't tell me no. I'm going to go buy it by myself and bring it here. Even one of my private events one time, we brought Thai food in, and James doesn't like Thai food. Doesn't say a word. All of a sudden, he's got a Firehouse sub sitting in the back of the room. It's just like, and that is your superpower, right? I teach mindset, and there's so many business owners. I'm like, can you just act like James? Just go fucking do it. Like, just do it. Like, don't get in your own way. And again, James, I think, and if you want to speak on that a little bit, maybe even where that came from, but no one's going to tell you no. It's like, you can tell me not now, but you can't tell me no, because I'm going to figure out a way to bring it into my experience.
It's hard to speak on because I don't really know exactly where it comes from. Speaking to the two things with you guys, I mean, I can complain about it, but then I just sound like the sad little bitch complaining about something, or I can just solve the problem. at your event, there was a variety of people there. You're not going to ever please everybody. It's just not the way life works. Some people like certain things. Some people don't like other things. I'm not a Thai food person. I don't know why, nor do I care to figure out why. I probably never will be. But I could stand there and complain and be that little bitch that bothers everybody complaining that you made Thai food, or I can order something that I'm going to eat, move on with my life, and everybody's happy. Nobody has to listen to complaining over something. Like if 8 people are there and 7 like Thai food, I don't need no need to cater to me. I'm a big boy. I'll order my own food and I'll get my food. To the event with the alcohol, it was more than actually alcohol. I don't know what they were thinking, man. But that food, it was in Dallas. I remember a city I'm not very fond of. Being from Philadelphia. Fuck the Cowboys is my quick answer. But we're sitting there and they bring this dinner out, and it looked like they took a whole chicken and just smashed it with like a press and then deep fried it. And I'm like, what is this? And downstairs they had this wonderful steakhouse. Steph and I ate there the night before. And I said to the server, I'm like, is there any way I can get a steak from downstairs? They're like, you want a steak from downstairs? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay. Next thing, like 10 minutes later, there's a beautiful ribeye steak sitting there. And then the bar, it was an open bar, but it was an open bar with beer and wine. And Truly, like what are those? What's a Truly? Like a seltzer? Like I
Yeah,
don't drink
Yeah.
this stuff. I need whiskey. So we went downstairs. Now, in hindsight, it probably wasn't my smartest move because I bought a bottle of Gentleman Jack, and I believe it was like $490 for this bottle. And at the store, it's like $60. So it probably
Yeah.
wasn't my smartest move, but again, I could stand there and complain about it, or I could just solve the problem and go get it. And that's what it's just about solving the problem, and whatever needs to be done. But I think back to many, many, many years ago. My dad and I were in an argument. I don't even remember about what. And he's like, "If you don't knock it off, I'm going to put your head through that window." And I said to him, like, "I'll put my own head through the window." He goes, "You don't have the balls." Guess what? My head went right through that window. Tell me I can't, and I will.
Yeah.
So it's not always the best outcome, but tell me I can't and I will. Why? I don't know. I don't know the why, but I've learned from a variety of things, and especially Sean, the why doesn't matter. Trey, if we spend life trying to understand the why, we're not going to ever be moving forward. It's just more about trying to control it, and maybe the good with the bad, but less bad. I don't know. I mean, my wife gave me shit after the whole bottle of whiskey, and while I didn't tell her she was right, she was right. I didn't need a $500 bottle of Jack Daniels, but I wasn't drinking that goddamn beer. I could tell you that much. And I haven't done it again since. But again, I think it really boils down to we can sit here and can complain, or we can solve the problem. And complaining isn't going to pay my bills. Complaining isn't going to make me happy. It's not going to make the people around me happy. So you just got to enjoy life.
Well, and I think too, I mean, you're an unconscious competent of manifesting. If you want something, you're not going to let something silly like they serve chicken or there's only beer get in the way. And when we talk about our process, what do you want? What holds you back? Like you don't get caught up in the weeds like a lot of people do.
Oh yeah, when he brought solar into his business, he
Yeah.
could have, you could have taken years and years trying to figure out the perfect process and why it's important, and you're just like, "Nah, we're doing it," and then you killed it.
Well, not only we bring it in, we got rid of 3 other products simultaneously. Well, I shouldn't say simultaneously. It was actually, uh, it was a process where we said like, okay, on such and such day, we're going to get rid of this. On such and such day, we're going to get rid of that. And it was a whole progressive plan on how we were going to do it. And our sales team was path of least resistance, like most sales reps, whatever it takes to get the sale. And we found that they kept selling stuff they weren't supposed to be selling after those times had passed. So one day I went into our general manager at the time and I said to him, if you sell this product after such and such day, we're going to do the job, we're going to install it, we're going to make the money, but it doesn't count towards your numbers, so you're not making anything off of it. Lo and behold, it stopped. And like it was really because at the end of the day, he's doing it to hit his numbers, which I get from the hey, if I can sell windows and hit my number, I'm going to. If I can sell siding and hit my numbers, I'm going to. And as long as we were willing to keep allowing it, he was going to continue doing it. So I don't fault him for it. I mean, I do in a way, but I probably would have done the same thing. But we went in and said, January 1st, I don't even remember what year it was that we did this, but January 1st, anything you sell after this point, it doesn't count towards your numbers. Holy shit, nothing was sold after that.
Well, and I think, James, you're a master at holding yourself accountable for what you create or what you allow. And so many people blame the people around them. Like, you don't blame your general manager, even the sales rep. You're like, we're paying them, so they're going to keep doing it. I'm going to be accountable, and I'm going to change it. I'm not going to pay you anymore, and you're going to stop selling it, and you're going to do what the company needs you to do. And I can't tell you how many calls I've sat through, listening to a business owner that won't hold themselves accountable. They want to blame the team. They want to blame their wife. They want to blame the world. And at the end of the day, the highest level mindset is I control one thing: my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, my results. And, you were doing that when I met you. I think you're doing it better than ever today with your work in Inner Blueprint and just being aware and conscious of how can I do better.
Well, I think a lot of times we're doing things that we don't even realize we're doing. And I think that's what one of the greatest attributes to the the way you handle your calls and the way I mean the people, we're not only accountable to ourselves, but I mean people like Mark and Greg Olson, Dave Homovan, Jason Herbert, Brett Cohen, all of these guys, DJ, I, we're all doing the same thing and we're all like-minded people. I mean, we go to these events and we get together and it's like we struggle sometimes to hold ourselves accountable, but we got all these other people besides Sean holding us accountable. And it's sometimes like I'll get off the phone with, I don't know, talking to, I'll just use Greg Olson as an example. And I get off the phone and I'm like, I just tell this guy shit that I don't even think of to do myself. So sometimes you find yourself practicing what you're preaching, but not practicing or like not practicing it ourselves. We're so quick to say it to other people. And I think that's one of the greatest things about having these people in this network. I could work with you on a one-on-one basis forever, but if I'm not with these other people to kind of help hold me accountable and me help hold them accountable, it makes it very hard to succeed.
And business owners have no accountability. They're the boss. They can change things. They can make excuses. And you're right, having brothers in our program that will help hold you accountable does take it to the next level. I mean, you guys, you hold me accountable sometimes. Like, you bounce it back at me and be like, hey, motherfucker, you said you were going to do this. You're not doing it. Why? And I love when I get fed my own medicine. It's like, you're right. Absolutely right. I was getting my own way again. What's that?
Typically your response is, this call's not about me. Well, it is. It's about all of us. It's about all of us. So, and I think it's important for everybody to point out the good, the bad, and everything in between, because all of us, myself massively included, still have room to improve. But I think so much into the process and the system that I do it, my wife does it, my daughter does it. And hell, if my son was a little older, he'd be doing it too. Because it starts, you have to believe you can do it before you can do anything. If you don't believe you can, if you tell yourself, I can't, sure as shit, whether you can or not, you're not going to.
100%. Well, and it's funny too, because you said at the beginning that I was always practicing mindset at some level. Even in the last week or two, I've really had this aha. I'm in the self-help industry. And in order to help others, I have to help myself first. And then I have to teach others to help themselves first. And I think in our relationship, you've helped me help myself, and I've watched you help yourself better too. I don't know. That's just a fun energy to play with. It's the self-help industry. Help yourself, man.
Yeah. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, and again, I think the most important thing, and think about it like any type of program that's out there, AA, NA, GA, SA, whatever. The first step to every single thing is admitting that you have a problem, and it's the same thing with this. admitting that you can do it. If you stand there and tell yourself that I can't, I can't, I can't, the only thing you're doing is reinforcing negativity. Even if you believe that you can't, and this is something that my daughter and my son and I don't want to say constantly talk about it, but when we're going down this road, it's one of the first things is tell yourself you can, tell yourself you can, tell yourself you can, and ingrain that in your mind. And at least if you fail, you can say you tried. But if you say I can't and sit there and don't even try, you're not even giving yourself an opportunity to succeed at it.
100%. When you said most people can't admit there's a problem, most people can't admit they're the problem. And especially for business owners that I work with, I mean, I'll work with the leadership team, salespeople, and I'm going, holy shit, this owner's creating and allowing all of this. And the moment we get the owner to say, I mean, we had that Taylor Swift song that we were messing around with. Hey, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. It's so often that it comes up in a mindset session that owner looks back and says, holy shit, it's me. It's me. And that's when we can do some real work in an organization, is getting leadership to take accountability and responsibility for what they're creating and what they're allowing. And again, you're really good at this, and I think you've helped me get better at it, man.
Yeah, and that's for business, whether it's keeping the wrong people in your organization, or you have the right person in the wrong seat, or you're the wrong products, whatever it is. When you realize I'm creating this because I'm allowing these things, and it's not so and so's fault. It's not so and so's fault. This comes down to me. This is my fault. And if I want to make a change, it's up to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's where it starts. And a lot of times where it ends as well. I mean, we are big creators of our own demise, and we're big creators of our own success. You can't, there are times out there, I guess, in life where you can say, that person made another person or made them successful or made them rich or whatever. But 99% of the time, we are the reason for our gains and we are the reason for our losses. And it starts with us, it ends with us, and taking accountability, which, I mean, I don't want it to, the perception to be like, oh, I'm perfect. I'm not. It's a work in progress every single day, just like your business is a work in progress every single day. I remember 13 years ago, this was enough. And I've surpassed that. Your goals constantly change. I remember probably 3-4 years ago, Sean and I are on the call every single week and trying to understand the worthy goal. I'm like, I don't want, like, I don't want to say I don't want, but it just seems so big. Like, I have so much money, I don't know what to do with it. Like, that's the least of my, like, I have all these other things, and just trying to understand the concept of that goal took what, Sean, months.
Yes.
It literally, because it seems like there's times where it's like, I remember, you brought up Taylor Swift. Next month, my daughter's golden birthday. That's a new thing in this day and age, and we're taking her to the Taylor Swift concert. Like, there was a point in my life, driving a nice car was a dream. Having my own home was a dream. Owning a car was a dream. It felt unfathomable to have some of the things in life, and now I'm spending. I mean, I don't even know how much I'm spending to take her to this concert.
Because she's going in Toronto, right? It's
not even in this country.
Flights, tickets, passport.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
and
a lot of
great
those
tickets.
things.
Great tickets.
Yeah, right down on the ground level at the stage. And I told her, I said, you have to pick. Do you want the golden birthday or? And then at this point, I was still trying to figure out what the hell a golden birthday was. Like, she says, "Oh, it's my golden birthday," and all I'm thinking is, "What the hell is a golden birthday?" And I'm not the only
15th.
person. Yeah, 15 on the 15th. I said, it's either that or Sweet 16. Pick your poison. And We were up in Toronto. I'm sorry, we were up in Niagara Falls, but there was another contractor up in the Toronto area that I'm like, hey, while we're up here, we should see them. We went to a Blue Jays game and we're sitting there. And my daughter goes, "Did you see that?" I go, "See what?" And she goes, "Look out there on the wall." And there's a advertisement for Taylor Swift playing there on her golden birthday. And all I heard about since then was going to that concert. So we got our tickets to it. I just booked. I mean, we're probably about 3 weeks from that concert, and I just booked the tickets the other. What was it, Sean? Thursday we were talking.
Yeah, last
We're on
Thursday,
the
the
phone, and I'm
flights.
booking them. Yeah, needless to say, booking hotel accommodations 3 weeks, 4 weeks before a concert for Taylor Swift is not easy to accomplish by any stretch. I'm sitting there like looking at all these prices: 2,000 a night, 2,200 a night. I'm like, Jesus Christ! But it is what it is. Book the ticket. I can get pissed off about it. We booked it, and then we have to be back the very next day because my son has his football camp. I don't know, like party for their season or whatever. But it's fun, and just thinking about the fact of what, and I don't know what it totals, nor am I even going to try to figure it out because it doesn't matter. But there was a point in life that my wife and I and my daughter lived in a 1 bedroom apartment. And when you're self employed, everything's harder because you're not claiming everything on your taxes. You're not making it look like you're making money. There's a lot of cash flowing. And when you go to get a mortgage, what do they want to see? Your taxes. And then there's a lot of this hesitation because you're self employed. Is it going to succeed? Is it not going to succeed? And I remember telling myself by my daughter's, I think by the time she was 2, we weren't going to live there. We were going to have a place. And I think she was like 6 or 7 by the time we finally moved out. I mean, we shared a bedroom with my daughter. But when we bought our house, we paid cash.
Mm,
And most of what we have, we own. Like
yeah.
because we can and because I like to. I mean, my wife's car, we own. My car, it's a business thing, so it's not business people understand, but we own most of what we have because it's what we had to do years ago, and now it's a comfort. You can't come take my shit.
Yeah. Well, and because you've raised your set points, you're spending more, but you're making more, still paying cash for things, and still living kind of, I don't know what the word is, a bougie, like going to Jamaica, taking your whole company on trips. You know, you and I, if we want to share the story, you wanted a Lambo, came to one of my events renting a Lambo, drove a Corvette that somebody else had rented, and then you ordered a Corvette, got impatient as you do. Let me take over your order. So I got a Corvette out of the deal, and you ordered a better, nicer Corvette.
Then
And
he got faster.
yeah, and you got it faster.
Yes, I did. I actually forgot about that. See, when you do so much shit, you forget about half of the shit you do. And I don't think that whole car thing was planned, was it? It just kind of happened.
It just happened.
Yeah, I think Mike and
Yeah.
I, we were in the airport. We're like, let's do this. And we got there, and then we pulled up, and then there was a C7 there. There was a Lambo. But yeah, I've always wanted a Lamborghini. It's one of the, like, as a kid, I remember in the little town I grew up in, walking around, and I would see people, like, back then the Mustang was like the thing. And I'd see
Yeah.
these people that were like 70 years old driving a Mustang. I'm like, man, I hope I can afford one of them before I'm 70. Like, they're about to die and they're driving their dream car. And I mean, listen, Mustangs are great American made muscle cars. I don't like the new ones. Like, I'd be more of like a 67 or something like that. But having the thought of like, wait, I can actually do this? And then going in, so we rented the Lambo and I really didn't like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice car, it catches a lot of attention, but I'm 6'2", 230 pounds. Like, I need to also be a little comfortable. I didn't like that. I went to get gas when we had that car, and it took me longer to get gas in that tiny ass car than it does in a diesel pickup truck because people just wouldn't leave me alone. Um, Years ago, we had a Viper, and I was driving through town, and someone starts yelling from the side, like, just outside noise. Oh, you piece of shit! You think you're great because you have that? Like, stop putting your negativity on me. So yeah, I went and said I'm going to get a Corvette, and then COVID, and it was so hard to get. ordered a couple of them, and the one day I was walking through like an outlet center, and I'm on the phone with you, and I got a phone call that my other car was they were putting into production. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about that one. And Sean's like, I don't remember exactly how it all played out, but basically like, can you take that one over? And I'm like, I don't see why not. I had to lie to him and tell him that you were my brother because it's like a no when you're on a waiting list. But it all worked out. You got your car, I got my car, and now I'm about ready to move on from my car.
Yeah. I
You
love
ready
that
to move
though.
on to from yours too? We can all do it together.
What are we going to move on to? I need to put something in my mind. What are we getting? A
You
jet?
know, no, I really want. I don't know. It sucks. You know how it is living in Utah. This seasonal snow, ice, sleet. But I really want a Bentley GT Continental.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I can see you driving that. That's amazing.
So, hold it in
I
the
mean,
mind and make it happen.
my vet's too sentimental to me. That I mean, you ordered it with museum delivery, not knowing that I would want museum delivery because my dad, who's no longer with us, took museum delivery, and I had to enjoy the ride, put on the custom emblem on it. I don't know. I'm pretty attached, but
It'll one day
I'm
be in
holding
the
in my mind
Sean
a bigger
Foyer.
garage to put more cars in.
Yep, it'll one day be in the Sean Foyer Museum, huh?
Yeah,
It
there we go.
will. It all started there. And James, what I love too, because James let me order the car. He sent me the order form. His wife, Stephanie, had filled it out. She picked my car.
Yeah.
Colors, options. And so when we took delivery, we invited you guys, and that was such a fun weekend.
That was so
You got to
fun.
meet Patty Aubrey and go to downtown Nashville, and just good times.
Yeah, that was a great experience. And then while we were there, they were putting the first Z on. So we got to see that, got to do. And it was funny because I don't know if you recall this when we went there, it was the first week they started doing the tour of the manufacturing plant as well after
Yeah.
COVID. So it was like that was the first week they started doing it. When we went, we didn't think we were going to be able to get the tour of the plant. And we got to because they had just started it up that week.
Yeah.
I remember how cool that was, but here I am thinking I'm special. I'm taking museum delivery. And then we were in the factory seeing how many they make. It's like, this is an abundant world. Lots of people are getting Corvettes right now.
Yeah.
There's tons in production. I mean, it's not a high production car, but there's a lot of them being made.
Oh, there were a ton of them on the line, and I mean, you think about it. You drive around; it's not like a Kia or I mean, imagine what those plants must be like because the plant we were in was massive, and it's like, holy shit, everyone must be driving one of these, but you rarely
Right?
see them.
Yeah.
Rarely.
One other thing, just to touch on, and maybe we can do another episode later, but you talked about your daughter, Madison, holding this picture in her mind of the concert after being in the stadium. And she works on mindset with Caitlin. What's the impact you've seen on her at a young age being introduced to mindset training and holding things in her mind?
Um, I don't know that you can even measure it. It's like substantial, because it's not. I think it's a twofold thing here. One, she believes she can, which is like we've discussed, one of the first things. But just the relationship that she's built, and I'm sure Caitlin can speak to this. Just the other day, Maddie and I are having a conversation because she's a 15-year-old and she understands life to its fullest extent. She knows all the good and the bad, or at least she thinks she does. And she's telling me the other day she wants to go to this party, and I'm like, okay. And both her and Steph are expecting like the worst answer out of me. I go, listen, there's four things that I want. And if you give me those four, you can go to the party. And I tell her the four things. I said, I want to know the address of where it's at. I want to make sure there's going to be parents there. I want a good contact phone number for an adult in case there's an emergency. And I don't remember what the fourth thing was, but it was something very reasonable. And her immediate response to me was, well, why don't you ask Caitlin? Like, ask Caitlin what she thinks. I said, "Oh, okay." So I typed it all out and I sent it to Caitlin, and Caitlin's response was very reasonable, very reasonable. So Madison, come on over, look at what Caitlin said. But I think that as a kid, my parents didn't know shit. I knew everything; they knew nothing. Nothing's dangerous. Every kid's like that. Mine included, yours included, me included. So having somebody else that they can kind of look at from a friend standpoint but that's also an adult that can kind of, if Caitlin said to me, hey James, these three are reasonable but this one's not, she knows I would have listened to that, and I know that she will listen when Caitlin says, hey, this is right. And I think that some people could mistake that to be like, oh, she's playing a parent figure. No, she's really not. She's playing a intermediary that my daughter looks up to. I mean, my daughter's in competitive cheer. Caitlin's in competitive cheer. Her daughters are in it. Unfortunately, we've never found the opportunity to cross paths at a competition. But hell, Sean, even you and I talk about like, when I was booking the hotel the other day for Toronto, I'm booking like 5 others for all these. And you're like, oh, what
Yeah,
date are you at this one? And what date are you at this one? And then I remember my first competition I went to, I'm like, this shit is disgusting. All these parents running up and like, I'm used to gymnastics where you all kind of sit there quietly and watch the show. And it's just a completely different atmosphere. So being able to kind of have the like-minded people, but I think one of the most important things is we've been working together for probably what, 11 years now, Sean?
yeah, yeah.
So that would put me at 29 when we started working together. My daughter's been working with Caitlin for over a year.
Yeah,
She's ingrained in
almost
this
3
shit.
now.
Is it 3 years?
Oh, is
Wow.
Yeah,
it really? Oh, wow. So
yeah.
since she's what, 12 years old, ingraining better mindset, ingraining better future, bigger picture. Most people are doing this shit, as you know, Sean, and most of the people that we're on the call with, 30 plus years old, that they're starting to think differently. And to change my daughter's mindset at a much younger age, I think that a lot of people, if they could say, if I could, I would have done this a lot sooner. Once they know what they're working on and what they're doing, that's probably the most important thing of it, because now she can go into, and I don't want to name drop the who, but there's some other people you work with where you work with their children and they're all
Yeah,
adults. And
yeah.
ask those people how they would be now if they started doing this 10 years ago,
Yeah.
how much
Uh,
different their life would be, how much, I don't want to say happier, because I mean, you can't predict the future, but at least you'd be thinking different. So even if you were down on your luck, you'd be doing different things to change it. And I
100%.
think
Well,
that's one of the most important things to it is she's been doing this since 12. When she's 18, I'm hoping that she's not going to be in college going, I don't know if I can pass. I don't know this. I don't know that. She's going to be sitting there going, fuck college. This is simple. I can do
yeah.
this.
One
And
to
that's the
me.
mentality she has, honestly. It's so crazy to me because, I work with adults, I work with children. And when they're younger, the mind's more impressionable. It's easier to reprogram. It's easier to program into a higher awareness. And Maddie is proof of that. Like, she's proof of that. When I first started working with her, she was really introverted. She was very unsure of herself. She was very shy. She just kind of thought life was happening to her, and she was just a victim of whatever you guys wanted her to do. And now she is like living her best life. Like
She is.
she's living her best life. She stepped into her power in so many areas. Like, her first year of high school, she's just like, I have this friend, I have this friend, I have that friend. This is dumb. I watch these people do this. I'm never doing that. Like, she's just got such a mature outlook on life now. And she realizes that she creates her own reality. And it's so amazing to see. It's amazing for me.
So, Caitlin, I didn't tell you this one. I'm going to tell you this. I don't think I told you. I think I told Sean the other day, actually. So, her first year in high school, she hadn't gone to school in years. And we were really kind of, I shouldn't say we, me, I was really kind of worried about it because I know how my daughter is. She's a very emotional, like most women, especially at this age, the hormones. And I was very worried about her going to school. And knock on wood, it's been extremely successful. But just a couple weeks ago, she went to homecoming, and she goes to homecoming with this boy. And I'm not going to say she doesn't like him. I don't know. They're kids. I don't think that they're really at that point. But he wanted to kind of be more than just friends. And Steph and I are telling her, like, hey, it's okay to not be dating this boy, but be respectful. Like, be friends with them. And she's having a conversation with Steph, and she's talking about this boy and this and that. And Steph's like, you just got to be respectful. Like, there's not always gonna like be these opportunities. And her response was something to the effect of, "It's not my fault I'm so cute." And I'm like Steph's telling me
Yes.
this. I'm like, Jesus Christ, girl. And I agree with you. I'm glad she's confident, but now it's working on the respect part as well, because I mean, this boy with homecoming, I'm like, man, fuck this little kid. But he was very respectful. It was Mr. James. It was he was just a very nice person. And we all know in life you don't always come across people like that. So the last thing you want to do is burn that bridge. And you know, Sean, you and I spoke about this the other day. Never burn a bridge, because you never know when you're gonna have to turn around and go back over it.
Yep.
He
100%.
could be a great friend. He could be a great support system there for her. So now it's trying to get her to understand, like, hey, it's good to be confident, but don't be cocky.
Yes.
Yes. Cockiness is free. Confidence is earned. That's my
Yep.
big
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah. And I do love it. And for even people that work with us and their kids don't, we still get the ripple effect. You know, as a parent, you understand mindset and how Maddie's programmed, and you can support her better too. And then you've next leveled it by having her work with Caitlin. But such a cool ripple effect of what we do. And, you know, DJ's daughter, Abby, she's been working with us for a couple of years in our group program. She just started her first job. She's 40 locations across the country, the number one sales rep at this clothing store, just killing it.
And it's her first job.
And it's her first job.
She's amazing.
You know, when we first met her, she'd had a traumatic boating accident, had some anxiety, wouldn't fly, was struggling to live alone going to college. And the transformation we've seen, you know, we spent time with them on a boat in the Caribbean this summer. She's a baddie. She can do anything she wants, but she had to have that restored. Like, life took it away for a little bit, and she had to find it. And, you know, watching Maddie, I mean, I've been watching her get on the calls. That's not the same girl I met, you know, at 12 years old. And obviously you grow, but just to see the transformation and the belief is proof of what we do. It's such a blessing and an honor.
Well, and your whole family, you know, Steph works with us too. And so you guys have these conversations that most families aren't having at the level that they're having them. Like, you're having deeper discussions with higher awareness and not getting caught up in the how or the why or the excuses. And that's something that most families don't have. The husbands and wives don't have it. You don't have that with your teenagers. You know, a lot of people don't, but you guys do. And I think it's so great that you first dove in head first, and then you're like, we're gonna get Steph in this. And then you're like, we're gonna get Maddie in this.
And you're already saying we're gonna get Mason in it eventually. Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest struggles with the program. I mean, speaking for myself, but I'm pretty sure most people feel the same way, is you come into it and think it's going to be like this, like one and done, and you're going to be perfect. And I don't know that there is such a thing as perfect, but it sure as shit ain't happening in 6 months.
No,
it took
it's
years
an
and
ongoing
years
training.
and years. Yeah, it took all this time to get to where you are now. It takes even more time to correct it. And I mean, this is years now, going back to TIR and now Inner Blueprint, that I mean, I'm still nowhere close to perfecting it. It's still a work in progress. And there's some weeks that I'm like, I just don't feel like working on it. And Sean and I just kind of, I don't want to say shoot the shit. It's productive shooting the shit. But it's being alert and knowing, and I work on it at my own pace, because if I do it in a way where it's like I have to, like schoolwork, I'm just going to screw it all up and not do it properly. And Sean and I have found our way of working together to where it's productive, where I'm getting some information, but not information overload to where I'm pushing the information away. And I mean, speaking for not for Maddie, but in regards to her, when she first started speaking with Caitlin, she would all but go into her room, go into her closet so nobody else could hear the conversation. It was almost like talking to a therapist. Like, I don't want nobody else to hear what I'm saying. And now she'll take those calls driving down the road with us, because it's no big deal.
Yeah. So powerful.
So she's definitely opened up.
Yes, definitely.
Well, maybe at some point we'll get her on with you and do an episode on mindset and how it's affected her, because it's such a cool thing. And any last
Definitely.
questions you have? Thank you, James, for
Seriously.
sharing with us your knowledge, your energy. We appreciate you, your family. And how does it get better?
Yeah, I mean, every day it does, and I don't think the how is necessarily the important part, in my opinion. It just does.
Yeah, expectation. It just does. All right. Well, thank you for listening. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button, share the episode, and as always, enjoy the ride. It's a good one. Welcome to the Inner Blueprint Podcast. I'm Sean Foyer, the Universal Mindset Disruptor. With over 20 years of turning blueprints into thriving home improvement businesses, I've learned that the strongest foundations start in your mind. Whether you're building a business or your own success, we're here to reshape how you think and face daily life, and always remind you to enjoy the ride.